to my wife and to my 2 children, and to Louis Khan's Bangladesh Parliament. It is dedicated to a parliament building. And it's not that far from where we are. None of you is aware of that parliament, are you? Okay, it's very interesting. You should really, I'm sure there are pictures of it, so you should really look at it. You see, when I write something, anything I come across by chance, contingent, they enter my poems. You'll see this essay, there are references to it. There's a reference to an event which is very important in this essay, where I was sitting in that event next to a poet, and I was falling asleep. He had to wake me up. Okay, so, and this architect's son had a documentary about his father. And the Bangladesh Parliament building was the last building he did. Okay, and in the film there are pictures of it, and also there is somebody inside the Parliament building talking about what that building means to us. And I felt, and it seems, what was the war that took place in Bangladesh? Who bombed Bangladesh? Is it between when Bangladesh was formed? No, it could not be. I don't remember what I heard. There was something. Those areas were being bombed. Okay, this building is not touched. And they said, why it is not touched? They asked what happened. He said, you are protecting it. No, he said, we thought the building was a ruin. Okay, it looks to some extent, it has partly looks disintegrated into the landscape. And I think that's a very powerful thing about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. I would have thought that, I assume everybody knew. But here, and anyway, let's say, and so I just this is completely by chance. So, but happy one. So what do I do? You want me to start reading this? Is that what you want me to do?
Anything you wish.
Anything you wish. You could read. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. I read a little bit. I will read a little bit because it resonates what you are talking about. Let me say one or two things. I wrote this essay because somebody asked me to write an essay for his journal. Okay. He's a Romanian guy who is quite well known in America as a poet. Andrei Codrescu. And at that time, I said, Murat, I want you to write something. The magazine's name was The Exquisite Corpse. Okay. And I said, okay, I'll write something. At that time, I was working on a piece on television, on a television program, okay, because I'm very much interested in other media. And I was writing, and suddenly I said, wait a minute. He's an American poet. I'm an American poet. He was born and grew up in Romania. I grew up in Turkey. Both of us are Jewish, and both of us speak English with an accent. I said, let me write a piece in which a person's accent in speech is anyway reflected in the writing. Is there a way that thing insinuates itself into the writing? That was the initial question I tried to answer. Okay. Because also the idea of both of us being Jews, the essay starts seeing it through what's Jewish writing, okay? But later in the essay, I say, in the way I define it, the poet in that society is always a Jew, you know, and kind of, so that it's not about Jewish. So anyway, just, okay, let me start reading. Then I send it to him. The journal comes. It's a very kind of controversial, also the controversy. It's a great journal. And it's a very thin paper. He writes it, and he comes. I want to know whether he published it. I look at the table of contents. My name is not that shit. He didn't like it. I didn't notice it. It was on the cover. It was, and because of that, there was no content. It created so much controversy. One of the well-known poets began to talk, who is this guy from outside coming to tell us how to write our poetry? He began to attack, then other people began to write letters defending me. And about 2 years ago, so this essay was written about 27 years ago, there was an anthology of Jewish writing, came out at the University of Michigan. They asked me to write a piece about it. And I chose Questions of Accent 25 years afterwards. Because what the ideas here, I related to Eda, I related to my poetry, but my poetry part of it made the essay too long, that they didn't have enough space. So Eda Anthology ends. Anyway, so this is Questions of Accent. 1. Personal accents. I speak no language like a native, though I have lived in the States since 1959. My accent still sounds foreign. I was born in Turkey, but I'm not Turkish. I'm Jewish. In the 50s, most Jews in Turkey were Sephardim and spoke Ladino Spanish. But I'm not a Sephardi. I'm a Persian Jew. My parents had moved to Istanbul on business, and I was born there in a Jewish neighborhood. But I learned no Ladino, barely understood it. Jewish kids in the neighborhood thought I was Muslim, an outsider. At home, my parents spoke Persian with each other, which also I barely understood. Brothers among ourselves spoke Turkish. My mother spoke in an immigrant's broken Turkish to me. My father barely spoke to me at all. Turkish became my mother tongue. I spoke Turkish in the street. I was linguistically most comfortable with other Turks, who mostly despised Jews. My speech became almost Turkish. Loving a language not completely my own was my first act as a Jew. And despite my almost accentless speech, my first act of rebellion was to tell my Turkish friends I was not one of them. I was a Jew. 2. Explorations towards a writer's block. In 1959, I left the hurly-burly of Turkey, its rich vein of bigotry and psychic resonance behind. Though I did not focus on it then, I left my mother tongue behind, which is Turkish, which I am not. In 1961, I decided to become a writer. As an American writer, my first act was Sorry, I have 2 more guests. Man,